my name is Amber and welcome back to my channel, Amber Reads Romance. Today I'm going to try and do a quick recommendation video for one of my favorite tropes, which is Grumpy Sunshine. I know a lot of you love that. It's big in the romance community and in romance books in general. We do love a good Grump Sunshine romance. So I did have quite a few recs that I want to do. I'm not sure if I will do a part 2 or not, but let me just see how many I can get into this video before it's too long of a video, because I do tend to ramble or gush about certain books. So let's just go ahead and dive right in. And this one is like my favorite Grumpy Sunshine probably of all time. I know you've probably heard about it a lot on BookTube. And I've talked about it a couple times, but it's my favorite romance from 2022, and that is Heartless. So Heartless, if you don't know about it, it's such a perfect Grumpy Sunshine romance. It's a small town cowboy ranch kind of feel, and you have Cade and Willa. So Cade he runs the family ranch. He has a lot of responsibility on his shoulders. And he is pretty grumpy. He's been burned in the past. He's a single father, and the mother didn't really want to be a mother. She just wanted to land Cade, and then she basically, once she had the baby, kind of bounced. So she's in and out of the picture. So he's pretty like negative about, relationships and doesn't want anyone. Sorry, my cats always choose when I film to start tearing up the cat pole. Anyways, so he basically needs a nanny because he's working, he's busy on the ranch. He doesn't want to push that off onto his father to like watch the kid all the time. He wants them to be have the fun grandpa grandson relationship. So he needs a nanny, but all the women in town just want to be the nanny to get close to him because they all want a piece of Cade, and he doesn't want that. So the heroine from the first book, she actually offers up her best friend, Willa. She says, oh, she'd be perfect for this, even though Willa has never watched a kid, never been a nanny, never done any of that. Willa basically volunteers to do this. She's kind of aimless right now. She doesn't know what she wants to do with her life. She's been working for at her brother's bar, and it's kind of closed down for a period of time, so she doesn't really have any plans for the summer. So she becomes the nanny. Before she becomes the nanny, she actually has a really funny meet cute with Cade, and he's very attracted to her. So when he sees her as going to be his future nanny later, he freaks out because he's like, I can't have this temptation near me. I can't be involved with this woman, and he doesn't want her around. But his son falls for her like instantly. They have this great connection, and so he has to have her on because he always has to do what's best for his son because he's perfect. So Willa is like the definition of sunshine. She is so ballsy, badass woman that speaks her mind. She's honest, but she's loyal. She's dedicated, and she just tries to like bring that sunshine into Cade's life, and he can't like ignore it. He just can't ignore it. So he's a perfect grump. He's very, standoffish, doesn't want anything to do with her, but they have such a connection. There's such a slow build in this romance of them living together. It's forced proximity. There's like caretaking in this because Willa gets sick, taking care of his son when he gets sick. So he like takes care of Willa, and it's just so beautiful. There's so many things in this book that are just beautiful and touching, and they give you all the feels. And even though he's a grump, like he's a lovable grump, and there's a reason he's that way, because he's put everybody else's wants and needs above his own. So that's why he's just such an amazing man. And when he finally does succumb to Willa's advances and like their connection, like it is hot, like hot. Cade is a dirty talker, and I'm here for it. And they have amazing sexual chemistry, and but it's also deeper emotional, and it's just amazing. This book, I can't stop talking about it. Please, if you haven't read it, I know it's scary when a book's like overhyped, but this book is amazing. It's a 6-star. It's perfect. Read it, and you will fall for Cade. I guarantee you. Okay, so I went way too long about the first book already, so who knows how long this video is going to be, or I might have to cut it into 2 parts. I don't know. But when I talk about Heartless, I tend to gush. So the next book that I want to bring up is Twisted Love by Anna Huang. This is part of her Twisted series. It's the first book, so if you haven't read it yet, this is a good one. You can jump in the first book. And it's with Alex and Ava. And this is kind of like a brother's best friend romance. Her brother is going out of town like for a while. He's a doctor and he's doing like something, I can't remember. It's been a while since I read it, but he's going out of town and he kind of has like overprotective over Ava, over stuff that there's a lot of history, like mystery, behind her past. My cat. There's a lot of mystery behind her past and like what happened to her. So he's very overprotective over her. So he actually asks his best friend Alex to kind of he lives next door. Her brother lives next door to her. And so he offers his place up to Alex. Hey, stay at my place and just kind of keep an eye on Ava. And so he begrudgingly does this. And he's a very standoffish. He's kind of a genius, billionaire, like rich tech guy. And he kind of almost has like, it feels like psychopathic tendencies, or like he's just very shut off from emotions. He's very standoffish, very rude. Ava and her friends even come up with like a whole mission to try and get Alex to smile kind of thing, which was funny and cute in it. And he is definitely a morally gray hero, which are my favorite. And he has his reasons and mystery like behind himself, and like revenge and lots of stuff going on in his past too. So that's interesting. But once he gets into Ava, things start happening. He's very possessive. He's kind of like, I'll kill the world, or I hate everybody except for her kind of thing. So he's a total jerk, total standoffish, like very closed off to most people except for like her brother and then her now. So I did love this book. I know a lot of people like the other books better, but I actually really loved it because Alex is just my type of hero that's like weird and off and morally gray. And then what I really did love was he had to do a huge grovel at the end of the book because things are revealed and he has to work for it. And I really appreciated that in this book. But he is definitely the grump. She's sunshine, butterflies, positive energy. They're just complete opposites. So it's a great book to try for that grumpy sunshine wreck. The next book I have is Mr. Masters by TL Swan. I read this a long time ago, but for some reason it always sticks with me because it was like my first TL Swan book and I loved it. You have Julian Masters, he's a judge, and Brielle or Brie. And she basically is from Australia and she comes over to the UK to become, like, she wants to travel and work, in a different country. Her and her friend are doing this and she kind of fibs her way through the interview process to become a nanny. She had no experience in that as well. And so she becomes a nanny. She gets hired and she didn't realize that the guy that she was going to be working for, she thought it was a woman for some reason. And so when it turns out to be this hot, grumpy asshole judge, she's kind of like, oh, whoa. He's a widower. He's having trouble with, being a single dad and handling these kids. And so she comes in the picture as his nanny. You have forced proximity. They're living together. He's a total jerk. He's grumpy. She's happiness and beautiful young woman. You got age gap. Got all the tropes in this, and he's a total jerk. And then they end up not being able to fight their connection to each other and start, having sex. And of course, it leads to more because it's a romance and it's got an HEA. So he's a good grump for this as well. Okay, so my next book, I want to do the grumpy as a female, as the heroine in the story. So I love a good grumpy heroine story, and this is one of the best that I've ever read. And it's one of my favorite books of all time, and that is Brutal Vow by Sophie Lark. I actually have it up here. Oops, there goes all the books. Anyway, so Brutal Vow is one of my favorite books, and I'm telling you, like, look at that cover model. He's like my favorite cover model. He is so hot. Anyways, so this is a grumpy heroine. We have Riona. She's from the Irish mafia. Like in the previous book, she's the lawyer of the family. She's a hard ass career woman. She like really, you know, works her ass off. Basically, her career is her life. Doing everything for her family is her life. She wants recognition for everything she does. And so she's this very suited up, prickly heroine that's like a total bitch, doesn't have time for love. In this book, she literally has a guy that she kind of dates, but it's basically so she can have sex and get that release, but not have to put any effort into an actual relationship. So that's who we're dealing with here. And then we have Raylan, who's like, he's like the dream man. So he was in the military. He also he's like a cowboy. His family has a ranch, and he goes, he is nearby because he's actually friends with Dante, and he happens to be in the area, and Riona's life is in danger. Somebody's trying to kill her. So Dante's like, I have the perfect guy. She doesn't want him to be her bodyguard, but he ends up being her bodyguard, and he is like positivity, like funny. He's so sunshine, and he's adorable, and Riona doesn't want any of it, but she can't resist him. He is just so perfect. So when things go awry even further, where it's getting even more dangerous, he basically takes her out to his family ranch, and so that she's more safe, more secluded. And then the other part of the book is them on the ranch. And so I love the vibes of that, where it's like out in the ranch riding horses, like their scene out in like the stables is like Raylan is top book boyfriend. Like he's so perfect, and I love that like Riona is just this hard ass shell of a woman that never really looked out for what she wanted. It's always like her family and being a career woman, and Raylan comes in the picture and just he gets her, he pushes her to like want things for herself and become happy. And so I just love this couple so much. It's one of my favorite couples of all time. Raylan is top book boyfriend, as I've said, and she is the grump and he is the sunshine. Totally here for it. So I wanted to put a historical in here, and I have the Duchess Deal by Tessa Dare. So this one is a really cute, fun. It was my first Tessa Dare, and I loved it. I know a lot of people raved about it, and so I finally jumped on and read it. You have Duke of Ashbury and Emma. Emma is actually not part of like the nobility or anything like that. She's a seamstress, and she was actually working on his future wife's wedding gown. But then this bride basically said, no, I'm not marrying this man. He is very scarred, damaged hero, has a lot of wounds, and he's like he feels like he's like a monster on the outside kind of thing. He's very wounded by what's happened to him, and he's very like grumpy and doesn't care. And then this on top of that just made him even more feel like the grotesque monster or whatever, like the wounded, scarred hero. So she actually goes to his place dressed in the wedding dress and demanded, like, I need money for this. Like, I worked my butt off. I need the money for this wedding dress. And so he's like, I'll do you one better. You can get married to me. He's like, here's a woman dressed up in a wedding dress, ready to go. And he's like, why don't we have a marriage? Like, so he offers up the marriage. He needs to get heirs. He needs a wife. But he has rules, and he doesn't want it to be a marriage outside of like the nightly events of when they have to, so they can have an heir. But what I loved about Emma is she has rules too, and she wants more than that. And so they have this push and pull. He's so like standoffish and doesn't want to be in love. He doesn't want to find love. And so he fights it so hard, and she's just this beautiful wonderful young woman that's fighting for this. I don't think she really wanted them like to fall in love or anything like that either, but she didn't want just this, nightly visit kind of thing. And he's also like this kind of Batman of this time because he's out there, being like a vigilante too. So that was an interesting side story to this. So I actually really love this book. It had hot, sexy scenes. And he was very dreamy, even though, he was very standoffish in the beginning. Hey everyone, sorry about that quick cut. I'm not sure how it'll look in editing, but my cat was scratching walls and, scratching and making lots of noise. He does that a lot when he wants out of the house. And this always happens when I'm filming. So let me just get back into it here. So I have one more book that I wanted to do a rec for you on this. And then I think I'm actually going to be doing a second part because, of course, I talked too long about some of these books again. So I'll probably do the other ones in a part 2. So in the next book that I have is Carnal Urges by J.T. Geissinger. This is one of the most talked about books, I think, of hers that's on BookTube, but I think it's a perfect example of a grumpy sunshine. I mean, Sloane, she's one of a kind. She's like one of the most amazing heroines I've ever seen in romance. She's unique. She is sunshine because she always is looking at the positive and trying to twist things around to like for her benefit, and she can talk to anybody and get them to fall for her. And then you have Declan or Daddy Declan or whatever, and he is the new head of the Irish Mafia, and he is a grump. He's annoyed with Sloane. This book, anyways, I didn't even talk about this book. So in this book, at the end of the first book in this series, it ends with like a kidnapping where Sloane ends up getting kidnapped. So in this, it's Declan. He had kidnapped her because she unknowingly kind of started a little bit of a mafia war because she is this woman that goes through men. The boyfriend at the time, there was a whole fallout thing that all happened in the first book, so it's not in this one. But like basically ends up like the shootout between a couple mafias. And so Declan's boss wants her. And so he goes to kidnap her. His boss ends up dying shortly after he kidnaps Sloane. So now he's in control. And he doesn't know what to do with her because he didn't really care about her or this whole situation. And Sloane is not scared. Doesn't back down. She's not the wilting little flower. She works the situation. She gets all of his men to like fall in love with her. Where they're like kind of questioning him. Like he's just so frustrated because he's like, I don't understand this woman. They're so different and like, yet they're so meant for each other. She kind of uses men, honestly, like they're just here for fun and like I'll move on to the next one. But Declan has this control where usually she's in control and they have kind of a little BDSM, not totally, but he's in control. And she kind of lets herself give him the control in the bedroom and ends up like he knows what's best for her. He gives it to her. He's super hot. He's grumpy. He doesn't know what to do with this woman because he's never felt this way before. And she's out of control. Sloane's one of a kind. And then we all love Declan. He's so sexy. I mean, like the scene where he has the bazooka or whatever it is, because he ends up like letting her go, but then doesn't want to let her go. So he's like going to shoot down like the airplane or whatever she's going to go away on. It's amazing. It's such a great scene. Declan is a badass and it's a great book. So I'm sure you've heard about it by now, but if you haven't, I definitely recommend this. I think it's the Monsters and Queens series. I might have that name wrong, but it's fantastic. So those are my recs. I'm probably going to be putting out a part 2 because I had more to rec, but I was talking too long. So I will be putting up a part 2 soon. Just thank you so much for watching this video. If you could, if you have any more grump where the grump is the female or the heroine of the book, please give me a rec in the comments below because I need more of those. Like I love Riona and the grump and sunshine of her and Raylan. So I would love another rec like that. If you have any, please let me know. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you again soon.